Ever been wronged so badly that karma didn't feel fast enough, so you gave it a little push? That's exactly what happened when two wannabe thieves tried to steal my truck's catalytic converters. What they didn't know? Those converters were already hollowed out, and by the time I was done with them, their own car was nothing but shredded metal. If you've ever wanted to see karma served hot and loud, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Because today's story isn't just about revenge, it's about poetic justice, mechanical style. T was a quiet Monday morning, 2:45 a.m. to be exact, the kind of hour when even the city feels like it's holding its breath. I stumbled out of bed, half asleep, planning to head to work early. As I turned the key in my old truck, the engine roared to life, except not in a good way. It was a deep, metallic scream that echoed through the neighborhood, loud enough to wake the dead. I jumped out instantly, my heart pounding. That sound only meant one thing. Someone had stolen my catalytic converters. My stomach dropped. The anger hit first, then confusion. Who does that? Who crawls under someone's truck in the middle of the night with a saw? But then, I laughed. Because, see, those converters? They'd already been hollowed out years ago by the previous owner. They were basically shiny, empty cans. So whoever stole them got nothing but useless scrap metal. Still, I wasn't about to let it go. Revenge wasn't just calling, it was revving its engine. By noon, I'd already started digging. My neighbor across the street had a camera that covered the front of my house. And guess what? It caught everything. Two scrawny kids, maybe early 20s, pulling up in a beat-up old police Crown Vic, the kind with the faded paint and spotlights still attached. I knew them. They hung around a fried chicken shack nearby, blasting awful music and chain-smoking like it was a career. They weren't exactly criminal masterminds. They parked right under a light, left their faces in clear view, and went to work with an angle grinder. In my head, I could already hear the voiceover. Local idiots ruin their own lives in 4K. Now, I could have called the cops, but honestly, I wanted this to be cleaner. So instead, I called a buddy of mine who works in code enforcement. I told him everything, who they were, what car they drove, where they usually parked, and more importantly, my plan. He loved it. He even passed the info along to the police so there'd be no trouble when I went through with it. See, their Crown Vic wasn't street legal. No plates. No insurance. Taillights busted. Muffler hanging off. It rattled like a dying lawnmower every time it passed by. And best of all, it hadn't been registered since 2011, meaning it was basically a ghost car. A few days later, I spotted their precious ride sitting on a quiet back street. Perfect. I called it in, got the green light for a nuisance tow, and hooked it up myself. When that chain clanked tight around their front axle, it felt like justice tightening its grip. Didn't take it to my yard. I drove it straight to the police impound lot. The cops ran the VIN, and it didn't even belong to the kids. Apparently, they bought it off someone who couldn't pay back the registration fees. No title, no ownership, no paper trail. In other words, fair game. The police just looked at me and said, "Go ahead and drop it at the junkyard." I smiled. It was about to get beautiful. Meanwhile, those two geniuses were running around town, panicking. They thought one of their friends had stolen the car as a prank. They even called around asking if anyone had seen their cop car. Can you imagine? The same idiots who stole my parts now playing victim. When they finally tracked it down at the junkyard, they came up with the dumbest plan possible. One of them would distract the yard owner, while the other tried to steal their own car back. But the junkyard owner had already been warned, so he gave them just enough rope to hang themselves with. He pretended to play along while quietly sending a message to the police. And to make sure they didn't get far, he cut the drive shaft before they arrived. So when they jumped in, turned the key, and floored it, the car didn't move an inch. Just sat there whining, like a broken toy. By the time the cops rolled up, the two of them were arguing in the front seat, red-faced and desperate. They were arrested right there, surrounded by piles of junk metal and witnesses shaking their heads. I wasn't there for the arrest, but I got front row seats for the aftermath. A few days later, I drove by the junkyard to see what was left of their Crown Vic. What I saw was art. A massive crane claw dug into the car's roof, lifted it high, and ripped it apart piece by piece. Metal shrieked. Glass shattered. The old police car that once carried their arrogance was now just twisted steel and dust. By the end, it looked like a toddler had taken apart a toy out of curiosity and lost interest halfway through. And the best part? The same thieves who once crawled under my truck had to stand there and watch their own car get shredded to nothing. Justice doesn't always wear a badge. Sometimes it drives a tow truck. They're out of jail now, but they've been hiding in their trailer ever since. I did a little drive-by the other day. They've already got another clunker sitting in the driveway. A Jeep. No plates. Let's just say, next time I see it out in public, I won't be missing the show. Because karma doesn't forget, and neither do I. If this story gave you that rush of satisfaction, smash that like button and tell me in the comments. What's the best revenge you've ever seen in real life? And if you love stories where karma comes with horsepower, subscribe for more, because trust me, there's plenty more where this came from.